Hi, today's not the greatest day, didn't have the greatest start. The first time ever in my life slept in, which meant I was 16 minutes late getting my son to school, which to me is a disaster and will knock me off for the rest of the day. Don't know how I did it. My alarm was switched off. I don't know how I did it. Excuse the way I look. He's just flung up. I just literally flew out of bed and got ready and got him to school. I'm not one of these people. You will sometimes maybe see me put some makeup on, but I'm not one of these people that will do all the lighting and all you get with me is me. So, today's not started off great, which means the rest of the day is going to be awful, because that's the way my life works. And any of you that are out there that are suffering from chronic pain, from neurological disorders, you'll know what I mean. At the start of the day, you're not. If the start of your day doesn't go right, or something goes wrong, or it's just not right, then that's the rest of your day follows suit, and you're constantly having to chase yourself and do things that weren't done, and feeling terrible about the fact that your day didn't go right at the start. Sorry. My son's in primary 7 and never once has he been late for school. Never once in the time that I worked was I late for work. And this is a big deal for me. I want to hide it. What's the point in hiding the bad bits of it? I'm trying to make people aware of how awful this is to live with. And people might say, oh, get yourself together. You don't just cry because your son was late for school. I would love to be able to just get myself together. Pull yourself together, whatever it is you want to say. I physically can. My brain, my body won't let me. I seriously don't No, I do understand why people say that, because I used to do it. And I'm ashamed that I did. Because I didn't know then what this was going to be like. And it's hard. And it's not nice. So whatever plans I had for today, which was to get the house tidied up enough to get my Christmas tree up, I don't know how I'm going to get through them. I'm sorry. This is it. This illness does here is not just physical. It's not just I have trouble getting up and down stairs. I have trouble falling all the time. I have trouble with my concentration. Last couple of weeks ago, I actually crashed my car. Well, not just crashed it, I rolled my car. And it's just, I've been driving, 28 years? No, 23? No, I'm 46. Yeah, Sorry. In 28 years I've been driving, never had an accident that was my fault. Well, there was one accident when someone crashed out at the back of me. Never had a ticket, never had a point, never had anything, and then I rolled my car. No idea how I did it. Nobody saw it. Nobody could tell me what happened. There's no explanation for it. I don't know. I think someone else came the other way and I tried to avoid them, but that other person that came the other way had disappeared by the time the police got there, obviously. They'll know what they did and karma will get you back. What else do I have for today? I need to get these Christmas trees up, or this Christmas tree up, which means I need to get myself together. My cousin's going to help me get the tree up. She's an absolutely amazing person. And we didn't see each other for years, but we always kept in touch. And now she is a great support, a great help. Apart from my immediate family, my mum, my dad, my brother, who are all supportive. Angela's she's my big cousin. She's what, 16 years older than me. Sorry if it's less than that, Angela. Sorry if I'm making you older than you. And she helps a lot. She's a lot like me. We're very similar in our personalities and the way we deal with things, the way we look at things. We're both empaths, and some people who aren't, but no, it's a thing. I can watch TV and see a horrific story of there's been an accident and umpteen people have been killed, and that affects me for months, wondering how they died, what it felt like when they died. And I read about it and find out as much as I can about it so that I can that's the way I deal with it myself, to try and find out as much as I can about it and see what gives me any clue. But I can feel what it must have been like for them to die, and sometimes it's not very nice, sometimes it's peaceful, sometimes it's not. I can go to places that other people would find really creepy and find not very peaceful at all, like a graveyard, and I'm as comfortable as you like, because the people that are there are not going to hurt you. They're there because they're dead, and if they're dead, they're not going to hurt you. And I actually have a favourite graveyard. When I was 17, I worked in a hospital for, at that time it was known as psychogeriatrics, and it was old people that were coming. The local asylum, which was Hartwood Hospital, had been open since I think it was 1895 it opened, I think. Yeah, 1895. I'm pretty sure. And it was closing down in 1995, funnily enough. And they were moving the patients out. And the patients who were that weren't old age and could be let out in the community where they were put into supported living and that kind of thing. The patients that were over 65, unfortunately, a lot of them had been institutionalised for too long. They couldn't be put out into the community. Some of them had been there. I was 17 when I went to work there. I was going to work there for 6 months between being from leaving school to go to start my nursing degree. And they were, from 66 upwards, really. The majority of them were around about their 70s when I met them. Some of them were older, with some in their 80s and 90s. And they were being moved from Hartwood down to the hospital nearest to where I live, which is called Cleland Hospital, which was, before it was Cleland Hospital, it was the poorhouse. That's what we called it in Scotland. I think in England it was known as the workhouse. In Scotland it was the poorhouse, or the poorhouse. And my grandparents, especially my grandmother, always say, I don't care what happens to me when I'm older, don't you dare put me in the poorhouse. I mean, don't put me in Cleland Hospital. And that was something she said all the time, make sure they don't put me in the poorhouse. And it was a stigma for a lot of old people in our area. They didn't want to be put, even though it was a beautiful place, and they'd turned it into a lovely place for care of the elderly, and they got great care. These people didn't want to go because they knew it was the poorhouse. So, anyway, I was working there, and they were bringing the patients down from Hartwood, and these patients, some of them had been there since they were teenagers. It was a women's ward I was on, and some of them were there because when they were 14, 15, they had got pregnant, whether by being raped, by being abused by a family member or a friend, or just because they got pregnant and their family took them there, left them, and never saw them again. I mean, they were 14, 15 when that happened. I was meeting them at 70 odds. Imagine living in Hartwood Hospital. Was not exactly the nicest of places. It was a proper asylum. Long corridors, locked doors. Awful place. Absolutely awful place. But they were put in there and they were forgotten. There was other people, actually one woman who was, I think they told me she was 7 or 8 when she was put in, because she had probably what we would call now ADHD, and her family couldn't handle her, so they put her in there and left her. I had the absolute pleasure of meeting her when she was 76. And by that point, she had a reputation around about Hartwood. Everybody knew her. Everybody knew what she was like. She was quite violent. Or could be quite violent. She could also be very, very sweet. And I met her. And at first, she didn't like me. She didn't trust anyone she first met. And I don't blame her after what's happened to her. She had a life of being abused, being hit by other patients, by staff. And then I finally gained her trust. She would be waiting for me at the door when I started my shift. She would see me coming and she would run at the door to wait for me, give me a cuddle. If I was taking around patients' laundry, she would come with me and carry it for me, help me do things that I needed to do around about the ward. when it came to downtime and they were watching TV or just sitting in the day room, she would want me to go sit next to her, she'd tell me stories, I'd tell her stories. She does occasionally get violent and I don't blame her, because things would obviously fly in her head that happened to her, things would trigger her. So yeah, I did get a few punches, did get my hair pulled a few times, but that was nothing. I could live with that. We had one woman in the ward who was amazing. She was 72, 73, something like that. And she didn't know whether it was New York and New Year, whether it was Wednesday or the weekend. She had no idea. She had no idea where she was, what she was doing. But if you asked her, what's on your shopping list, she could rhyme off, and it would be, you could ask her 10 times a day, every day of the week, and it was the same thing in the same order all the time. That's the shopping list she got when she was, I can't remember whether it was what her mum gave her to go shopping, or whether it was when she was married, and that was a shopping list. She had the same thing on it all the time, the same quantities, she knew it all. It was amazing. There was other people who couldn't remember anything from before that day you spoke to them. They had no memory of anything before that day, which I think was sad. They blocked it all out, and I would hate to think what they went through to have managed to block out huge gaps of what they'd been through. But anyway, I was talking about graveyards. The reason I told you about them is because when I worked there, I was told, there's graveyards at Hartbridge Hospital, and I was like, well, I've lived near Hartbridge all my life, never heard about this hospital, what are you talking about? Where is it? But nobody knew where it was. And I thought, it's a bit strange. And I asked my parents, I said, do you know where? My parents had lived, my family had lived in this area for generations, and we were right next to Hartbridge Hospital, and I said, to all my family, I said, do you know where Hartbridge Hospital is? No. So I asked my grandparents, do you know where Hartbridge Hospital graveyard is? No. Didn't know there was one. And I thought, it's odd. And I kept meaning to go and try and find it. I'm on, and I never, just things happened. Life took over, and sorry, it was something the TV caught my eye there. So no, I never bothered about it, and I went on and got on with life. And a few years ago, I started thinking about it again. I started thinking, I wonder what happened to that place. I wondered, because obviously the hospital's now been deserted for 20 odd years. They've pulled bits of it down because it was dangerous. Hold on a second.